So, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to another episode of Footprints. I'm your host, Anthony Davis. I'm an educator at BHS, that's Beverly High School for those folks who don't know. And joining me today on the podcast is someone who actually has her own podcast, which we're going to talk about. This is Leah M. Hill. She is the founder and host, and she's a healer, and she has this thing called Apollo Sunrise Center, which I really like. All right, excuse me. We're going to find out a little bit about Leah's footprints and really kind of what got her started down this path. She's the founder and owner, as I said, of Apollo Sunrise Center. She, again, hosts a podcast called Rise, Heal, and Grow with Leah M. Hill. And she's also a practitioner of what you call transformational energy healer. Imagine that. That's interesting. Intuitive medium, which is, whoa, I want to really talk about that. And sacred geometry teacher and educator. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you this. Her work is really kind of heart-centered and aims to help individuals kind of rise above adversity, which I really love because this is what Footprints is all about. And it helps folks heal from within, which we like, and also kind of grows them into their fullest potential, which is what we're all striving for anyway, right? She works with clients that struggle with anxiety, maybe overwhelmed with major life changes, and also those kind of looking just to connect with loved ones from the other side, which I really want to talk about that. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome to the show, Leah M. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. It's great to be here.
Oh my goodness! Well, I'm so happy to have you here at Footprints, and we're going to talk a little bit about your podcast. But before that, I really want to ask a couple of different questions, ladies and gentlemen. I want to ask this now, especially the origin of the Apollo Center. So it sounds kind of like, all right. So here's what I'm going to say: the Apollo Center or the Apollo Sunrise kind of sounds like the name of like a rebirth type, right? Type of thing. So what's the story behind it? Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, well, you're actually pretty close.
Okay.
You're pretty close with what it sounds like.
Okay, all right.
The original story is really that I had been working as a transformational energy healer and an intuitive medium for many years.
Okay.
And I was working on my own, teaching classes at different local like yoga studios or places around the area. And I was meditating one day and I just got this vision. It was like, it's almost like a movie screen opened up in my head, like my inner vision. I had this vision of this place. It looked like a big house to me. There was lots of light. There was lots of people. And it looked like this wonderful place where all these different instructors and people and communities would come together to learn and grow together.
Wow.
And yeah, that's why I said wow, but I was like, well, that's a nice fantasy. It's never going to happen, right? This was many years ago. And so long story short, I actually had been receiving, I would say intuitively, the name Apollo for a very long time. Now, the reason I was saying your reference was very close is because in the Greek history, in the Greek mythology, the god Apollo rides on his chariot across the sky every day, and he brings the sun every day. So he starts early in the morning, and in the ancient history, he would ride his chariot across the sky.
Okay.
So the reason I named this business Apollo Sunrise Center is because to me, it's like a new beginning. It's like a new day, a new earth, a new humanity for us all. So that's really where it came about.
That's pretty
originally.
cool. That's not bad. I wish I got a vision like that. Mine is not so detailed like that.
Well, it took a long time to get there.
Yes,
but yeah.
indeed. Yes, indeed. I like that. That's unbelievable. So,
Thank you.
So when did you first realize you really wanted to kind of create something like this, like for folks, really kind of help them grow and heal?
Well, it was actually about 15 years ago. It was a long time ago. And like I said, I just thought this vision was a fantasy. I never thought it was really anything I had like no resources at the time. I didn't have money to make this happen or support or people or anything. And then as time went on, my life changed and things started happening. And it was actually before COVID that I was looking for property pretty actively to actually bring this together, and everything that I had looked at was falling apart. It was like I was looking at a place, and the people were getting divorced, and there was this big fight over it. Nobody could agree, or something else, or there was some other issue. And I always say, thank goodness, because it was right before COVID.
Right.
I would have opened the business right before COVID hit.
And that would have been tough.
Yeah, so that was tough.
Yeah.
So I took a little break, and then after COVID, renewed my search. And again, it was a long time after that too. But I just went with a friend one time who owns, she has horses, and she was looking for a place to board her horses. And she said, I'm going to look at this farm in Merrimack, Massachusetts, and why don't you come along and take a look? And I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. It's probably going to be at some barn or something. And then I drove in, and there's this gorgeous 6,000 square foot house on a hill on a 20-acre horse farm overlooking the woods and the trees. And I was like, oh my God. And then I found out it was actually available. So I said, it's meant to be. Where do I sign? I was like, this is it.
How about that? So now, what type of person did you sort of build the Apollo Sunrise for? Like, what type of individual?
I feel like it was really for people who are curious to know more, to go the next level, to maybe people who are feeling lonely in the world, maybe people who are going through major transitions in their life, transitions of, which could be, losing a loved one, it could be losing a career or a relationship change, all kinds of things where people, those times in your life where you really feel lost and you don't even know how to face, how to face the day, how to take the next step. And I have been in that place many times in my life. And I thought, you know what? It would have been great if I could just go someplace and feel safe. Feel welcome.
Now, building on that question and that statement you just made, I'm going to ask the question now. So there must have been a personal sunrise moment for you, besides that vision that you had of it. So what was the personal sunrise moment for you that really inspired you to go, I'm going to push this thing forward?
Well, it was actually a relationship that I'm in. I'm in a very good partner relationship. And I was in a full-time job that I did enjoy. I enjoyed it very much. I liked it. And I kept waiting for the right circumstances to fall into place in order for me to find the right place. And he said to me, what are you waiting for? He's like, it's not going to just come to you. Yes, he is very wise.
Yes,
I know.
indeed.
I do tell him that. I remind him of that too. But, he's like, it's not going to just come to you if you're not really focused on it. You've got this big demanding career, and how are you going to just, and he was absolutely right.
100%.
I had to walk away from my corporate job, my career, and say, this is it. I'm taking that leap.
Exactly.
So I'd say that was the moment.
No doubt. Well, listen, change is scary.
Yeah.
Right? For a lot of
scary.
people. And the biggest thing you want to do when you're changing is to realize it's not going to be bad, right? You have to have this positive outlook no matter what.
Right.
Even though some things might be a little adverse and negative, you're still going into it smiling and saying, you know what? I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to think positive thoughts. And when you do that, you put all that stuff out in the universe, it usually comes back to you. I find that to be the case.
And you know what? I still do that every day. I go, I'm still going to make this work. I'm going to, when we have a bad day or a slow day, I'm like, I'm going to make this work.
No question.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the mission and also about the mindset of the Apollo Sunrise, right? So what's the biggest misconception you think that people have about personal growth itself?
I would say the biggest mission is they feel like they're not ready. Like they kind of like the way my experience was. Like they feel like, oh, I'll wait. I'm really afraid to change. I'm afraid to let go of, this relationship or in my case, the job. I'm really afraid of letting go of the things in my life. And so they put off the personal growth because they're so, when you're in it, you can't see beyond it, right?
Yes,
you're busy.
It's a forest for the trees type of thing, right?
Exactly, yeah.
I'm in the forest, I can't really see the trees. I get that.
Exactly.
That happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
Especially, when you get lost in something, that you really want to do, and you kind of like, oh, you don't have a direction as to which way to go.
Right.
The best thing to do is kind of take a step back and think about which direction you really want to go in,
Right.
and then kind of point all your energy in that direction. At least that's what I try to do.
Yeah, and it's
You know?
hard though to make that journey, I say, from your head to your heart, right? Because when you're thinking with your head, you're like, well, what does my family want me to do? What do
Right.
my friends want to do? What about my kid? What about all the responsibilities I have in my life? But once you make that shift and tune into your heart, wow.
Yeah,
then
right?
the answers come, and it's like everything falls into place. It's
There's
amazing.
no question about it.
Yeah.
I agree 100%, Leah. I
Yeah.
mean, organized confusion is what they usually call it, right? Especially in my world, that's usually what it's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like our content, please subscribe to BevCam. Don't forget, we're also on Spotify, and we're also on Apple Podcasts as well. All right, now, let's continue. I got this burning question. I was thinking about this one a lot. You built a space around healing.
Yes.
Right? So now, how do you keep yourself grounded, right, as you're helping all these other people in the process?
Oh, thank you. That's a good question. I have a lot of practices that work for me. So first of all, I'm a big journaler. I've been keeping journals and notebooks since I was a teenager, maybe even preteen years. And that has been, I would say, like my therapy for me, because I can really get everything out. There's a woman who wrote the about the morning pages. I'm blanking on her name, but The Artist's Way, I think it was. And she says you need to just do this writing and do this journaling every day just to get all the junk out of your head, and then you create.
Yes.
And that's really resonated with me, that practice where sometimes I'm writing and I'm, if I'm angry or I'm upset or something, I get it all out, because to me that's the important thing, is get it out of my body. And then it's like, oh, now I'm ready. It's
now
like,
you kind of like,
now
ooh.
I'm ready. Yes,
Yeah.
I could create, I could focus, I can be present with someone where I couldn't before, because my head I'm constantly, like thinking and overthinking and all that.
I mean, we do that a lot. So
Yeah.
one of the greatest things I think I ever heard was Kobe Bryant, who I love and admire, who's no longer with us, ladies and gentlemen. I hate that. But he had a statement. He said, fear and obstacles really don't exist. And I said, that's interesting to think. Why? Why would you say that? He said, because fear is something you build up in your mind. And like when you build it up, it's now you've placed an obstacle there.
Yeah.
He said, and obstacles is something we create in our lives.
Right.
And he's kind of right about that. And not kind of right, he is right.
Yeah,
Because when I think about it, I'm like, you know what, maybe I should do this. And then I think, I can't really do that. But then I put that obstacle in my head of saying I can't do it when I haven't even attempted to try to make it happen. Right. So that's one of the things I think that people kind of lose sight of.
Yes.
It's like, don't build that barrier up. Like really kind of just jump in and do it. And hopefully, things will work out. And if they don't, guess what? You can try again.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest part of any type of journey that we go through.
Absolutely.
Right? Especially with those footprints, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest part. What's one thing you wish everyone understood about the journey of like, oh, I'm in this painful place, but now I'm in a good place?
I think the biggest, misconception is that it's going to happen like that. Like I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. If I go to this healer, if I go to this therapist, if I do this, practice this modality, then I'm going to walk away and everything, I'm going to be all set. And I guess, it's hard to say, but sometimes it takes years. It's a journey.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. And it takes consistency and it takes practice. And many times it takes many different healers or different therapists. It's usually not the same one, that meets you where you need to be at different points of your life. So
No question.
I think that's probably the biggest one that I can think of.
Oh, no doubt. I have to agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you had a husband. You're married, right?
Relationship. Yes, I'm in a relationship.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I don't want to get that wrong.
Okay.
She's in a
Partner
relationship.
relationship.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that relationship when it first started and started to bloom. What was it that really was the turning point that you knew this was going to work for me?
Oh boy. Well, it really was his acceptance of who I am and my intuitive abilities, my gifts, my spirituality, my living my truth. And he saw it, like even in the example I just shared, he saw it many times before even I did. And that was so important to me as someone who said, all right, you want to build this Apollo Sunrise Center. This is your vision. Tell me where to show up. Tell me what I need to do to support you, to help you. And I'm like, wow.
That's
what a gift.
awesome.
What a gift.
Yeah,
No.
right? Because you don't usually get
No,
that.
you don't.
Usually like, oh, you're going to do that? I'll go ahead and do that. I'll just be over here.
Exactly.
You usually get that, right?
Right, right.
So that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
really excited for you
Thank
right there
you,
to have
yeah.
a partner that's in a partner in crime, so to speak.
Yes,
that's really going to
exactly.
be there for you no matter what. Now, I was thinking about this question a lot. Do you think growth happens more in solitude or really in a community type setting?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. So I would lean towards community setting only because we do learn so much from each other.
Oh, no doubt.
And just being and that's a lot of what we do at Apollo Sunrise Center as well, is we have things that aren't just a class where you go and you do a workshop. It's actually a group. It's just a facilitated group where you can talk about your experiences and then listen to other people's experiences, and then you learn from that. So it's not just learning from the one teacher person, it's learning from each other.
Yeah. Well, shared experiences are the best thing to have, right? Because you can always get something from someone else's experience. You're like, oh, I never looked at it like that, right?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of being able to see it from a different light. Now, how did the Rise and Grow podcast begin? Oh. This is what I really want to know. How did that begin?
That one, actually, the idea for it, so I guess it takes me a while to do some of these things, but it came to me in 2018. By an astrologer that I know, this astrologer woman that I had been talking to for a while. And she's out in Los Angeles. She does charts for all the big actors and directors and all that. But somehow I got connected with her, and she did my chart, and she said, Leah, you have to do a podcast. And I was like, back then I was like, I didn't have Apollo Sunrise Center. I didn't feel like I had anything to say.
Yeah.
I didn't, I was just like, no, we're not ready. And then I talked to her again a year later. You have to do the podcast. And so she kept going at it.
Right.
And she's like, you got to practice. You got to get used to being in front of the camera. You got to do this. And then, so flash forward years later, I go to have coffee with Liz DeFiore, who works here at BevCam.
Right.
And we were right next door at the coffee shop. And she says, by the way, did you know we have a new podcast station, podcast studio, and it's right next door. Do you want to come look at it? And I went, wow. I think that's
there
it.
it was, right?
There it was.
The dominoes all fell into place,
exactly.
right?
That's
so it
kind
is.
of the same thing. I said, all right, sign me up.
That's it.
I'm ready.
Those are the footprints right there, right? That kind of led you from the breadcrumbs. Here we go. Here. Oh, here we are. That's how it works, right?
It really does. I know.
It's really cool. So now, who's been your most memorable guest and why?
Oh, my most memorable guest. I would say, so I've had a number of them, but I would say Bobby Lerman, who is a local, she's a real estate agent, but she's also a romance novelist.
Okay.
And she's just this fun, great personality, great person, very involved in a lot of the networking groups and clubs in the area. And she shared on the show a very moving, touching, true story about something that happened to her when she was in her 20s, when she was in visiting Israel and Jerusalem and everything. And it was just such an emotional moment. Like as she started telling me the story, I was sitting where you are, and my heart starts pounding, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? What happened?
Yeah.
I was just so. I was so into it, and she shared that story, and it was a scary story, but it turned out okay. She's fine, and I have to say, I was like so inspired by that, by someone who took, what could have been a very scary, traumatic situation, turned it around, and is now, writing about it and writing story and sharing her creativity with the world.
That's pretty cool. So now I have a list of some of your recent podcasts.
Yes, okay.
All right, so episode with Patty Anastasia.
Oh, yeah.
Pet psychic
fun.
medium.
Yes.
Tell me about that one.
Oh my gosh, Patty is just, she's just so much fun. She brought her dog, Ladybug, who is a service dog. And Patty, from the time that she was a child, could communicate with animals telepathically. Let's say like they communicate, they give her images in her mind of what's going on with them. And so, long story short, she turned that into her career, her business. So that's what she does. She connects with people's pets, whether they're still here or on the other side, whether they've crossed over.
Wow.
And she delivers these messages of, of comfort and help. And we talked on the show about how many of us who've lost, my two, have lost, our pets along the way. And we feel so much guilt and grief that we never quite get rid of.
I know.
And she says, no, that's not what it's about. They don't, they don't want us to be here feeling guilty, and they don't want us to say, don't ever get another cat. You know, they're like.
I had such a great cat, by the way. Her name was, what was the name of the cat? Oh man, we got 3 dogs now. I have Bear, I have Kendrick, and we have, what's the other one? Zuko. They're all 3 Shih Tzu puppies. But we had a cat. And the cat was amazing. It was like a dog. And Periwinkle, that was the name of the cat.
Periwinkle.
And so, like, I felt guilty for the longest time. And we never had a pet. And I turned my wife, by the way, from a cat lover into a dog lover.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
actually, it was my daughter. Yeah, it was a challenge. It was my daughter. It was my daughter. It was my daughter, Jeanette. She did that. You had an episode with Lori Tremblay, Lauren Mullen, and Kim McStay.
Right.
And that was called The Next Podcast, The Next Perfect Podcast. Now, they shared their insights on energy work, which I thought was interesting.
Right.
Soul coaching, creativity, Reiki. Which is Reiki. So I have it's funny, I graduated with someone who is a Reiki master.
Yep.
And we're talking now 40 years ago. But Mary Rizzo, shout out to you, Mary, my classmate from Weymouth South High School. And she's really good at what she does. And so tell me a little bit about that. You do any of that type of stuff?
I do. I am a Reiki master.
Talk to me about that.
I am a Reiki master. So
talk to me about that.
Reiki is an ancient modality of energy healing. It started 2,000 years ago. And it originated as an Asian practice, but very simply, what it does is it attunes you to an energy that comes through you from the divine. It comes through you, so you are the vessel, and it usually comes out your hands, or you can use it distance as well. And so basically, you learn through the training how to turn it on, and then you put your hands over the person. You don't have to touch them or anything like that.
They can feel that energy, can't they?
And they feel the energy, and the energy goes wherever the person needs it.
Wow.
So it's not about the practitioner saying this is, the person has a sore elbow or something.
Right.
And that's how they just bring the energy through them, and the energy goes right to wherever the person needs it.
That is so cool.
And it works
and
because it's been around for so long. Yeah, definitely.
Imagine that. I don't know. I had a back injury a while ago, and I kind of just tried to wish it away.
Yeah.
But then I had to finally go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I wish I had someone to do that on me. They probably would have
in the hospital now.
Yeah.
They do. They have Reiki practitioners. In fact, my father had it when he was dying. He was dying of cancer in the hospital, and volunteers would come in and give him Reiki while he was right there. Yeah.
Oh, how about that?
I know.
Wow, I tell you, alternative medicine is awesome. Right. You have different options. Now, you had an episode with Laura Dengelman.
Yes.
And that was sound healing, right?
Yes.
So
she's
that's
amazing.
kind of interesting too when you think about it. I listen to sounds a lot. By the way, when I go to sleep at night, ladies and gentlemen, I go to sleep by a fan. I have to have the fan going, right?
Yeah.
For the sound, right? So tell me a little bit about that. Discuss the power of sound and how that really kind of helps people kind of center themselves.
Well, the way that Laura teaches it, Laura Degelman is from Soulful Notes, is fantastic practitioner. And the ways that she teaches it is it's actually the vibration of the sound that does the healing. And it works through a process called entrainment. So if let's say she's playing the crystal bowls and it's resonating at a certain hertz, a certain frequency of healing, but we, in our human bodies are way down here, we're nowhere near that frequency, just by being in that atmosphere, like in the room or listening to it, or even listening to it on the internet, our frequency starts to rise up to meet that.
Interesting.
And that is actually scientific. It's actually a proven process. And that's why people go to these sound baths and sound healing, and they feel like, oh my gosh, like a new person, like something shifted, even if you don't know what it is. It's incredibly relaxing too, because we very rarely give ourselves that time to just do nothing, you know?
Yeah.
Just to like be there, to be in that moment and receive that energy healing. And that's how it works.
I'll tell you something. I'm thoroughly impressed with what you do. I mean, I kind of try to do that in my classroom, bring a positive outlook, you know, and really kind of tell the kids, hey, listen, this is what I envision for you. Hopefully you envision the same thing for yourself, taking these lessons and using them in your life. And you're doing such great work.
Well, thank you.
I got to be honest, it's really
you.
interesting and inspiring. Now, what kind of ripple effect are you seeing in the communities, really through the Apollo Sunrise community itself, the Apollo Sunrise Center?
So the way I'm seeing it now is, if you can imagine, yes, the ripples that starts from maybe one person who, again, was curious about learning something. It doesn't have to even be spiritual. We do a lot of things at Apollo Sunrise Center that might be about creativity. We have a lot of writers events. We just had a 2-day book festival, literary festival for local authors. You know, we do a lot of different things, but something that brought that person through the door is kind of like, okay, they were curious, they want to learn more, they want to be a part of this, or maybe they're feeling like, you know, they've been alone or isolated and they just want to connect with people again, you know, since COVID especially, you know, that had a big effect on us and how we interact with people. And then they take that shift that they've made, no matter how big or how small it was, they leave and then they tell their friends, they tell their circle, they tell their family, and then next time they come back, they bring a friend or two, and they bring some family, and that's the ripple effect that I'm seeing that is like beyond what I could have even imagined.
How
you
great
know,
is that?
As a business owner, I'm thinking, how am I going to get people in? You know, it's like, you know, what you want to do.
But it's
you
like
wanna
word of
bring it
mouth,
in.
right? I was like, oh, have you ever been to this place? Oh, I went to this place. This is what I did. And oh, have you ever been to this restaurant? I ate over here. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like that.
And that's the ripple effect, is people talking about it and saying, have you heard? And a lot of people are messaging me and saying, you know, oh, my friend was talking about you, or somebody said they were at a yoga class and there were 10 people in the class and 5 of them were talking about Apollo Sunrise
Imagine
Center.
that.
And I was like, wow, that's
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
That's the best advertisement right there that you can get, right? So now, how do you measure success with sort of your mission is kind of helping people evolve? Like, how do you measure their success? How do you see that really playing out?
I would say when I see people take the next step for themselves. You know, when they start to, I think a lot of, my own mission, which was because of my personal journey, was about being able to stand in my truth and to live my truth. And when I see someone else, you know, who I've worked with or has come to Apollo Sunrise Center, like I said, a few times, and now they say something like, you know, geez, I really want to run my own group now. I want to teach something here. I want to bring, you know, do something. I want to create something. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's my success right there.
Yeah, right
it's
there.
Like, it's like, yeah, I could say success is, you know, selling out of every event, but that's not, all it takes is one person. It doesn't mean everything has to sell out and everything has to be this overwhelming, you know, big event or something. It's like just someone taking that next step in their own life of whatever is right for them is like, wow.
Well, see, the thing is, you unlock that door for that person, and now they've opened it and they step through it and they're like, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to do. And thanks to Leah, now I'm on that path. I'm on that. Those are my footprints. I'm heading that way. Right? And that's a beautiful thing when you unlock that and have people do that.
Oh,
That's
thank
really
you.
awesome.
And that's
it
a
really
good
is.
point, that all I can do is open the door.
Exactly.
You know, they have to walk through, they have to do that.
100%.
That's a good point, though.
So now what's next for you? Maybe a book? You thinking?
Yes. Actually, I did write a book years ago.
Okay.
It's a novel about a young boy with autism, and it's called The Society of Sylphs. It's a fantasy, suspense, crime series novel. And I've been for a long time. I've had book 2 in my head, you know, of like I just gotta do it. I just gotta write it down and do it. So I feel like, you know, my book is probably going to be, you know, part 2 of the series. Even though it's been a little while, but about this young boy, because even though I'm not myself on the autism spectrum, growing up, I had a lot of those experiences of the isolation and the withdrawal, and not being able to communicate what was really going on with me or my feelings. And
well, being
so
able to
that's part of
journal
it.
and write it down always is helpful.
That helps
so,
me,
I mean, I find that to be true with me. I mean, with this experience that's been going on, I've had this podcast for almost 2 years, and I've been writing every day, just writing down certain things, people I come in contact with, and I want to really kind of make a book about my journey, how I got started doing this.
Great
so
idea.
I'll tell you quickly. I'm a leadership teacher a couple years ago, and I was teaching a class. And have you ever seen the movie Pay It Forward?
Yes.
All right,
yes.
so you know the premise of the movie, right?
Right.
So there's a 7th grade social studies teacher played by Kevin Spacey who
Right.
challenges his class to change the world. And one kid, Trevor Haley Joe Osment, I see dead people.
Yes, that's right.
he takes that literally and says, I'm going to start this movement called Pay It Forward, where I'm going to do 3 random acts of kindness for 3 people who can do nothing for me, right? And the first person he helps is this guy named Jerry, drug addict. Jerry's like, brings Jerry in, gives Jerry food, gives Jerry money, and then Jerry subsequently pays it forward to another woman by helping her not jump off a bridge. So he paid it forward to Jerry, and Jerry paid it forward to her. Next person he helps is his mom. She was like this raging alcoholic. She's going crazy, and he helps her get off of it because of him. And then the third person he helps is Mr. Simonet, his 7th grade social studies teacher, played by Kevin Spacey. His mom is played by Helen Hunt. And so he helps, because I guess Mr. Simonet has some issues with, like, you know, his dad and all that stuff, right? So anyway, again, something dramatic happens toward the end of the movie. And the kids are like, oh my gosh, Mr. Davis, why are you showing us this movie? It's just too much. I'm like, wait a minute. Let's not focus on what just happened in the movie. Focus on what the kid did. He started this whole movement, unbeknownst to him, right? That were touching all these people, and they were all helping each other, and he didn't know it, right? So much so that there was a reporter from another state running it down saying, where did this Pay It Forward movement come from, right? So so after the end of the movie, the kids watched the movie, I said, okay, now your job is to write me a 1 or 2 paragraph essay of how you would pay it forward to someone who can do nothing for
that's
you.
amazing that
right?
you did that.
And I got to tell you, Leah, the stuff I got back was it brought me to tears.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this kid wrote this. You know what I mean? While that was going on, Mr. Thomas, wonderful principal, how you doing, Mark? He sent around an email to the staff that said BevCam was looking for teachers to provide content. And I always wanted to do a podcast, but I didn't know what it would be on. And I started thinking about the impact of that assignment that the kids had on them and on me. And I was thinking about it, and I just called my podcast Footprints because it made sense to me. Like, you know, every day we go through our everyday lives and we meet people and they leave a footprint on us, right? Your parents talk to you and they give you advice, they leave a footprint on you. Like, are you going to take that and carry that forward? What are you going to do with it, right? So that was the whole point of Footprints, and people have stories to tell. Come down, sit here, tell me your story. Like you just did, you told me your story, which I really love. And it's interesting how it's just a little ripple in the pond can affect so many people, right? And you're really doing that with your work at the Apollo Sunrise Center.
Thank you.
Really is. It's interesting, and I really love it. So that's kind of how it all came about.
Wow.
All right, now we're going to do some rapid fire questions.
Oh my gosh, okay.
I love these. I love these.
Oh boy.
All right, here we go. Rapid fire, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you love our content, please subscribe to BevCam. Don't forget we're on Spotify and also Apple Podcasts. All right, check it out.
Okay.
Rapid fire. One word that describes your 2025 energy.
Becoming.
Becoming. Ooh, that's a good word. I like that one. I like that one. Okay. The hardest habit you've ever had to break.
Self-doubt.
Yeah, I think we all had that one, right?
Yeah.
That's a tough one,
rough.
right?
Yeah.
That's definitely a tough one.
Yeah.
How about this? Growth starts with?
Making a decision.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. What's one quote that never gets old for you?
Follow your bliss.
I like that one. Mine is, you can't expect to see change if you never do anything differently.
Yes.
That's
a good one.
That's
I
one
like
of
that one too.
my favorites.
Yes.
How about this? If rising and growing were a dance move, what would it look like?
I don't know. That's a great one. Rising and growing. It would be some sort of shimmy from a belly dance
Okay,
show,
all
you
right,
know?
all
I
right.
would see that.
I'm
It's
digging
like,
that, I'm
it's
digging
like
that.
the earth moving and
All right.
shaking. And,
Not bad,
yeah,
not bad,
I would
not
say
bad.
that, yeah.
I'm digging the belly dance move. All right. So what's one thing you tell yourself on really tough days?
That this would not have been created if it wasn't meant to be. Yeah, that there's a reason.
Absolutely.
There's a reason that
Absolutely. You followed the
here.
footprints
Yeah.
to your Apollo Sunrise Center.
Yeah.
That's what you did. And that's a beautiful thing. What's the lesson you're still learning?
Oh gosh. Well, we could go back to the self-doubt, I guess. But yeah, I guess the lesson I'm still learning is really to speak up for myself. I know it's funny because I do a podcast show and everything, but I really, I never did that throughout most of my life, and it's always been a struggle to really speak my feelings and my truth, and I'm still working on that every day.
Well, so I've never had a problem with speaking my mind, ladies and gentlemen. My
gotta
parents
learn from you.
instilled that in me right away.
Yeah.
Let them know right away.
Yeah.
So I usually do that. Now, who's someone that helped you sort of rise when you were down?
Oh, I have to think of my friend Mona when she actually moved out of the country. She used to live here in the U.S., but she, ever since I met her, she had been, from day one, just believed in me, believed in my vision, believed in what I was doing, and she never, she was just consistent like a rock throughout all the years that I've known her, and I have to say that really makes a difference.
No question, no question. Now, if you could have lunch with any historical figure, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I would say, I would go with William Shakespeare. I know.
You say William Shakespeare?
It might be, it might be kind of archaic, but I would say William Shakespeare because I want to know where he got all that inspiration from. I want to know how he put all of that together, how he could be such a prolific writer and such a beautiful writer. I would want to absorb
without
everything
a doubt.
from him.
I'm digging Macbeth, by the way.
Oh, okay, good.
So
All right,
that's
good.
that's all good. Name a book that changed your perspective.
That's it was called, it's by Esther Hicks, and it's called Ask and It Is Given. And it is a book that woke me up.
Okay.
Literally
All
woke
right.
me up.
All
Yeah.
right. I like that one. So mine is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, I've read that too.
I love that one. That's
Yep.
one of my favorites.
That's a good one.
What's your go-to comfort food after a long day?
Oh, gosh. Potato chips.
Potato chips?
Potato chips, yeah.
Ooh, I like onion garlic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I got to brush my teeth right after that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not a good
Right.
look. All right. If life gave you a billboard for one message, what would it say?
Oh, a billboard for one mission. Don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams, really. I mean, it took me 15 years to find the place. I mean, do not give up. You know?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't give up. So in 3 words, how do you define success? Ooh. Huh? 3 words. What would they be?
Living your truth.
I love it. I love it. And when people think of Leah Hill, what do you hope comes to mind?
Kindness and warmth and generosity and maybe a little inspiration.
Okay, we love that.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first from Leah Hill, owner of course, of Apollo Sunrise Center, and also a fellow podcaster like myself, and happy to have her on today's show. I want to thank you for sharing your light, because I think it's really important.
Thank you. And
helping so many people kind of rise and grow. I think that's really important as well. And don't forget to listen to our podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And I got to be honest, being here doing this is one of my greatest joys. And I enjoy anyone who comes here and tells me their story, which you just did, which is really awesome. And don't forget the Rise, Heal, and Grow podcast with Leah M. Hill also is here at BevCam as well. And make sure you tune in for that. And ladies and gentlemen, I always leave you with this question, and I'll leave it with you again. Not how, but why why and who left a footprint on you. I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.